Welcome back to another episode of Hoops and Football. As usual, Shannon here with you. Just to have a little breakdown of the AFL Richmond versus St Kilda game. Obviously, the results didn't go our way. Um, probably, probably in a way, we could probably say it was a little bit of our own fault, considering we had the opportunities to win the game, to kick the goals. Um, Definitely blew a couple opportunities in the last quarter to take the win. Um, Nonetheless, we didn't get the win. But one thing we can take away of this game was it was a lot better this week. So we will. I don't know if you guys can hear me. A lot better this week than we were the week against Gold Coast. So we can see that Ooze has decided to address some things. We wanted to play a little bit similar to how we played against Collingwood, obviously against West Coast as well. Obviously, we probably can all agree that St Kilda is ahead of us in their rebuild stage. Don't know how, considering they've been rebuilding what it feels like for the last 10 years. Nonetheless, we can say we saw some positives and negatives out of it, and probably we will discuss the positives, more like the good, the bad, and the ugly out of this week's game. But we'll get cracked into it anyway. So 7-10, 52 to 8-8, 56. So obviously a 4-point loss. On the loss, that part kind of hurts, considering we almost, if you think about this, we lost to North Melbourne by, I'm pretty sure it was 4 points. We lost to the Giants by 3. We now lost to Saints by 4. That's 3 wins we could have had in the bank. So if you taking it as a positive now, you could switch that to say, maybe next year we can win those games, or within the next 2 years. So 5 wins this year. Maybe next year you win 1 or 2 of those, takes you to 6, 7 wins, and then the following year maybe you'd win all those. So now you're a chance of, in the following years we're now at, we've gone from 5 to 7, 8, or 7 to 6, and then in the following year, you're pushing towards 8 and 9. Then we know we're on the right track for the rebuild. So this week, to me, shows a good sign of, we're not far off. We should have won it, but then at the same time, we shouldn't have won. We should have kicked a lot better. At one stage, I'm pretty sure I saw Lynch kick 3 behinds on his own. Lynch really could have taken the scruff of this game and won for us just with his goal kicking. But like I said, and I will keep saying this year, the forward is our most inexperienced part of the ground. We're going to have to remember that and have to be patient with the game. So, look, I don't really know if you could say there was really too many superstar standouts to say, like last few weeks it's been Hopper and Taranto where they've really got the ball and, sorry guys, done a lot with it and really opened up the game and, showed some real good charisma and style. But that probably is just how it is. So, it's hard to find somebody who was really good. Jack Ross, so probably just going to, sorry, I really started going off on a different situation. So, probably just going to talk about a couple of the players so that probably I would think be best on ground, or, some of the players I think that stood out to me that deserve the mention. I won't go through every single player. I think I used to do that and it just really drags out. So I'm trying to find ways to cut things back to make things a bit more entertaining, where you guys will enjoy it and want to join in and engage more, instead of me just going through stats that you guys all can find and look up yourself and have your own opinion. So Jack Ross, I think, was pretty good this week. I think he definitely is stepping up as the weeks come along. I definitely think he needs more midfield time or centre bounce time. And I like that he does play the half forward wing. I know everyone will say we should have used him to tag Naz, but I don't think Ross has the go with Naz. Not because he's not a good player. I think just Naz is a different class of player. You think of, I know everyone's kind of used it how he did against Merritt and what he did against Harley Reid as like, we should have done against Dacos. Look, maybe the reason, in my opinion, why they're not doing that is because Zach Merritt and Harley Reid kind of don't, in my opinion, they don't have Naz's speed. Naz is just a jet. Like once he gets going and he takes off, it's elite speed. And unfortunately, Ross doesn't have that. Like I do agree that Harley Reid has a bit of pace and Zach Merritt does, but like Reid likes to get body contact. He likes to use his frame and his power, and Ross can match him with that. So same as Nick Dacos. Nick Dacos is him and Naz are the same category. Speed, agility. So I just don't think Ross can go with that, and that's fair enough. But he still had 26 disposals, 14 kicks, 12 handballs, 6 marks, 2 tackles, 5 clearances, and 440 metres gained, which is really good. I've been saying I want these midfielders to really get up their metres gained, so instead of just so many handballs and going backwards and all that stuff. So I thought Sonsie had another good game. I have read a lot of different comments. More like a tales of two halves, but I'm okay with that because he's still very inexperienced in AFL level. I think everyone seems to forget that. Yeah, he's been around for quite some time. I think it's going on like 5 years now, but under Dimmer, he didn't get much senior time. He's starting to get some now. I think we can say since that time he was subbed off, and I believe that was against Essendon. He's really picked up his game. His consistency's up higher. He's now averaging close to 20 disposals a game. And he's a very elite kick, so I'm like we need them. We're all complaining about how we want Taranto and Hopper to clean up their kicking. Well, Tyler Sonsie right there is an explanation of a player who is an elite kick. So he had 20 disposals, was 11 kicks, 9 handballs, 4 marks, no tackles, which that's obviously needs to be cleaned up, 2 clearances, and 353 metres gained. So that's a really good improvement. Really happy with that. Now, I've got a couple of defenders, which normally don't get the praise that they should, but I used to play as a small defender, so I tend to appreciate the defence more than most people do. I think the defence needs to have some sort of award in the AFL totality, because you have the Coleman medal. We all can agree the Brownlow medal is just for the midfielders. You really need to have some sort of award for a defender. Maybe you make some sort of Spud Frawley award, or an Alex Rance, like someone who's a legendary defender. You can honour them and their legacy. So I think Spud would be a good one to honour defenders, because I think defenders just don't get enough appreciation for the season. So Taylor Young and Ben Miller are the 2 defenders I would like to talk about for now. There's another defender I want to talk about. I think we kind of saw last week what it was like with that one of them. I think Taylor and Miller are really putting their foot down, and it's making Uze's job harder in a good way, to the point where he can't put Bolter back there, and Bolter probably is, when he's in his good form, he is one of the best defenders in the competition. We saw he did with Max King in round 5 and completely shut him down and gave him no chance to kick a goal. So these two make it so much easier for Uze. So I was reading a comment today, and someone was saying like Uze is so lucky to have Young and Miller, because he's got these 2 key defenders or pillars in defence that are slowly growing. Like I think they're both 25, 26, so they're that middle-aged. Miller's only going into his tour, I think it's like 67 games, so he's slowly getting up there in his experience. I think Taylor's not even at 50, but then whilst you've got those two key pillars in the defence, it's allowed Uze to focus on more of these young draftees we've got in for the forward and the midfield, really trying to hone them in, because these 2 young defenders are just absolutely on fire, and especially Young since he's come back from an ACL, which is insane to think. It looks like since he's been back, he hasn't missed a beat in the AFL. So look, Young on the weekend, he had 17 disposals, 5 kicks, 2 handballs, 9 marks, 1 clearance. And then this is the best part, 531 metres gained and 90% time on ground. 531. I think he may have even, if I just scroll up and down, I'll find out. But I reckon he may have, he was Taylor Young, I think it's Tyler Young, or Taylor, never great on the last name, you just call him Young, was actually our leading metres gained. I'd love to look into, maybe later on, to see what the percentage was, like of his effectiveness kicking, but that's really good coming from a young defender who's definitely growing into his own. And then we moved on to Miller, 15 disposals, 15 kicks, no single handball. And I'm not against that, because his Miller, as a way of he's evolved, A lot of the criticism used to be about how he used to kick the ball. Same as what we used to say about Alex Rance. And he's really improved his kicking in the off seasons. And I'm really loving that he's willing to take those 45-degree angles, sharp kicks, and cuts. So I really do love that. And it seems to make our defense a lot stronger, which has probably been our best for the whole entire year anyway. So hang on, I think it's my son at the door. I'll cut that out. Where was I? Yeah, and Miller had, and also with his, obviously we've saying with his cutting and his kicking, he had 8 marks, which is great. Obviously he says he's got 2 hit outs, so obviously he's temporarily pinched ruck. Not against that. 343 metres gained. Now this is the crazy one that's going to get you. 97% time on ground. That shows you that he is probably at his peak fitness to spend 97 minutes on the ground. That is an insane amount of time to spend playing. And the last person was Nathan Broad. I really think I'll quickly go through Broady because I'm obviously chewing through some time. We could really see what it was like without Broady last week. And I think when you have Broady and Nick Flostone in the background, I think it really shows you the differences when you lose at least one of them from our team, and it really hurts. So that was really good. So obviously we'll quickly do the good, the bad, the ugly. I think the good was a lot of the youth is starting to shine. So obviously the defense of 2 players I've just mentioned, Young and Miller, they're starting to show some real good form. Tyler Sonzi's another one. Banksy's starting to come through really well as a running half back. Mansell kicked 2 goals in the weekend, and I feel like he's maybe got his mojo back. So I was really appreciating of that. Taj had 10 disposals again. So Morris Rowley Jr. was another one I didn't mention earlier, but I think he's really come into his own considering the high pressure intensity he's actually bringing on the ground. And I think it's really starting to scare the players in the competition. So that's another one. Harry Armstrong did quite well. Look, Ben Miller had a quiet game. Harry Armstrong did quite well as well. He's come back, kicked a goal a game so far. So we're just getting somewhere. The ugly, I will say Ooze with the substitute. I really think you really could have brought in Steely Green to inject a bit of pace into the game and goal kicking, which we kind of needed. Could have got McIntosh, in my opinion, would have taken McIntosh off. For all we know, it could have been the winning decision. Obviously, it didn't happen. Steely went on to play in the VFL that night. But he'll live and learn. Ooze will learn from that. That's the ugly. The bad would be the errors near the end of the game that cost us and our goal kicking. Just a few things. I'll ask you guys to do this as well. In the comments below, can you please give me your good, your bad, and the ugly on what you think they are. Overall, if you think of the game, it's probably another ugly game, but I would still give our game about a B as a rating. So, alright guys, that's it for this episode. I've gone on quite longer than I thought I would. So, as usual, please hit that like and subscribe button. I really do appreciate it, as well as stay safe and go Tigers.